Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update from Dolly Varden Silver, traded on the TSX.V under the ticker DV, and on the OTCQX under the ticker DOLLF. And I'm joined today with the president and CEO of Dolly Varden Silver, Shawn Khunkhun. And Shawn, always great to have you on the show to get an update on Dolly Varden, particularly here at the end of the year. Just to recap 2024, it's been an amazing year for the company as far as exploration results at multiple targets, and there's still a lot of results that still haven't even come in yet. There's a lot of assays to report in the new year. You put an email out to subscribers, Shawn, just yesterday, and it was really a recap of the year. It does a good job of encapsulating a lot of the different targets and areas of focus. I won't steal your thunder, but I will mention in here 69 drill holes, 31,726 meters drilled in 2024 at your Kitsault Valley Project in the Golden Triangle. Why don't you walk us through some of the key high-level takeaways, and then we'll dig into a couple of the targets.
Yeah, listen, I just want to start off by extending my gratitude to yourself. My understanding is you're a shareholder. And as I've gotten to know you over the years, I'm really impressed with your knowledge base of the sector, various companies, how you interpret that, how that helps you make good investment decisions. And you were an advocate of Dolly Varden long before we started having the success that we've been having in the field. I think you recognize the historic nature of the asset, being a high grade past producer in a safe jurisdiction. You celebrated some of the consolidation the company has done. So I just wanted to say, look, this is a time of the year that you're reflective, that you look back. I like to think about what I'm grateful for. And, this business has been good to me. It's been kind to me. But what makes this business possible is people like yourself. And I just wanted to, on behalf of Dolly and, sincerely from myself, I just wanted to say thank you for understanding what it is we are and supporting us in trying to realize that vision.
Oh, thanks, Shawn. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I've been following the Dolly Varden story here for quite a while, and nice to see it in good hands and really making some legitimate progress on expanding the resources. And I've loved it as you've consolidated the land package, adding in the Homestake Ridge area, adding in the big bulk area. You've done a good job of consolidating the land package, and now you've been stepping out and hitting target after target. Maybe share some of the ones that you think were the most significant hits from this year that you've released thus far.
Okay, so where I'd like to start is actually because I want to look at the whole year. And where I want to start is with a transaction that we did issuing shares to Libero to lock up big bulk. And so that's how we started the year. We started the year by getting 100% of big bulk, which is more consolidation. And in the spirit of the Homestake transaction, it's important that investors understand we're more than just a driller. We've been the lead consolidator in the area. So we got 100% of the copper gold porphyry, which is big bulk. And we did it for next to nothing. 275,000 shares were issued on the 10th of January. So that's how we started the year. We followed that up a few days later with 93 meters of 357 grams of silver at Homestake. Huge, wide, high grade intercept. We followed that up with a new gold zone, 12 and a half meters, 80 grams at Homestake. So we came out of the year kicking on the 16th of January, on the 12th of February, and that led in a very depressed market. If you go back to those days, we were in a sub $25 silver environment. Despite that, Dolly stole the show at the PDAC by putting up a bought deal. We did a bought deal with essentially three investors led by Sprott. We put away $15 million, so we funded ourselves for the exploration program. We had treasury back in October of 23. We closed a deal with Hecla where they went from a 10% shareholder to a 15% shareholder by putting $10 million into the company. So I'm a firm believer it's not how much you raise, it's who you raise it with. So getting $10 million from one investor and then having interest from the best investors in the space, including Sprott, putting away that money, we were fully funded to attack a drill program, which was the earliest start of drilling the project has ever seen. So that drill started turning in the middle of May, and the first results that we came out of the gate with were from regional targets. So what you have to understand here is there isn't one silver vein on the property, there's multiple. We believe that every kilometer and a half there's another one, and there's lots of opportunities for new veins to be found. So what we drilled out of the gate was 5 meters of 978 grams of silver, and we drilled that up at Moose. We also had some good numbers out of Chance. The numbers were around 20 meters of over 200 grams of silver. And why those results, I celebrate them so much. They're not the highest grade results that we reported this year, but they're from relatively unknown, unworked deposits, veins, and they are not in the 43101 compliant resource estimate. And it really highlights the growth opportunity at Dolly. And then we've had a slew of phenomenal drill results, and I don't use that word lightly. So, over 9 meters of 1,000 grams at Wolf, 16 meters of 600 grams at Wolf, 21 meters of 654, all at Wolf, which had led to another successful financing. So if you look at how much money we raised this year, the total is $47 million on bought deals, no warrants, both participated by Eric Sprott. The $32 million we raised in September, half of that was taken down by Sprott entities. And what I really celebrate, in addition to the drilling success and the financing success, is the stock. We had a huge year. We were sold down to about 60 cents a share in January. We traded up at 145 in October. That is a monster move. Now we've pulled back. As silver's gone from 35 to 30, Dolly Varden has shed some of those gains, but it looks like the stock has found and bounced off a low, a seasonal low, a tax loss low, and is heading into the year with some strength. But the one thing we've given our investors is we've given them a vehicle that is a proxy to silver. We've found more, we've stayed capitalized, we've traded well, and we've attracted the best investors in the space. We've also reduced one of our big supportive corporate shareholders, Fury, that sold us the Homestake deposit, has successfully moved some of their shares to very, very good institutional investors. And so that's a very important thing. And then the two more things I want to quickly highlight, and I'll pass it back to you. We employed methods, something called directional drilling, where we drilled holes, we flanked multiple holes off a first hole. Essentially, what we were doing there is we were saving our shareholders money. We were being prudent with the treasury. We were limiting the number of meters we have to drill and saving. I've calculated, and again, this wasn't our biggest meters we've ever drilled. We drilled about 31,000 meters this year, but on that budget, we saved about $1.6 million employing this directional drilling method, which enabled us to drill more. We started the year with a planned 25,000 meter program. We moved it up to 31,000 because of cost savings and because of success. And the last thing I'm going to say here is we hit a monster gold zone up at Homestake Silver, where we've got this big mineralized envelope. We had about a 100-meter hole at over 4.5 grams per ton gold. We had about a 50-meter hole at almost 9 grams of gold. But within that, and the way we displayed or represented the results were 12 grams of gold over 34 meters, 30 grams of gold over 13 meters. So the way we like to present results at Dolly Varden is how we think they will be mined. So look, last thing, company's in a position right now. We've got over $30 million in the bank as an advanced exploration company. So that means zero share dilution in 2025 unless it's on our terms. We don't need to raise money and we don't need to print another share. We've been included into indexes, recently included into the SLJ, more trading, more liquidity. We've got lots of results on deck. We've got dozens. The majority of our drill holes haven't even been released yet. So January is going to be a great month of results. And I expect to come out early and often in January, and we'll go out and market these results at the various conferences. I'm feeling really good about this company today. We've never been in a stronger cash position going into year end. We've never been at a higher share price going into year end, and we've never had as much gold and silver identified on the property. We've faced adversity, we've faced challenges, we've overcome them, and my goal is the same as it was when I took over this company in February of 2020. We are going to become a top 10 silver equity, either by being acquired by a top 10 silver equity or by building this company into one. So, as you can hear in my voice, I am not going into the end of the year lethargic. We are rested and ready to tackle 2025 and all the challenges and opportunities that come with it.
Very well stated, Shawn. That's a nice encapsulation of really the whole year, all in one answer. And you know what? There really was a lot going on. I want to dial back to just a couple individual points you made. First of all, as far as the capital raise, this was a year of the haves and have-nots. We've talked on the show relentlessly all year long that this was a great year for raising money in the capital markets if you had a good project, a good team, and some catalysts to move the needle forward. And I think that's what allowed Dolly Varden to be in the have category and raise with such great partners like Sprott, some of the strategic investors you brought in. And so hats off to your team and hats off to you for being able to raise in a difficult environment for many other companies. But I think it speaks to the tenor of the team and project that Dolly Varden has. I want to go back to a couple of these targets individually, just real quick, Shawn. So when you were drilling at Moose and Chance, for people that haven't heard this before, there seems to be a periodicity of the mineralization in the Dolly Varden silver portion of this, where when you step out from Torbrid and Wolf, every 1,400 meters, there seems to be another pocket of mineralization. And then you go to Moose and Chance, and every 1,400 meters, there seems to be more mineralization. So some of those targets had a little limited work done, but they were still more conceptual. And this year, I think you really put the proof in the pudding that there is this periodicity factor where you just keep stepping out roughly that same distance and keep finding pay dirt. Maybe speak to that concept and that your exploration team has really dialed this in.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've got a very, very large land package in the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle is home to mines like Brucejack, SK, and Premier. Now, this idea of periodicity, I've seen it up in the Keno Hill district where you've had 100 million ounces of high-grade silver, like Kilo Materials produced another 100 million ounces in reserves. And the reason companies like Hecla have the confidence to find another couple 100 million ounces in a camp like that is because of periodicity. And so these patterns, whether it's in Salta, Argentina, whether it's in Zacatecas, Mexico, the Keno Hill district in the Yukon, BC's Golden Triangle, in rich silver districts, Tonopah, Nevada, there's a repeating pattern. And it's why the old timers, despite the lack of infrastructure, and in the north, despite the cover of glaciers and freezing cold temperatures, Dolly Varden was the richest silver mine in the British Empire. So, what our team of geos have done is they've taken all the incredible work that was done back in 1919, back in around 1905, when silver was first discovered on the property. They've taken the old maps. They've also married all of that with all of the new technology, the geophysics, the geochemistry, good old-fashioned ground truthing geology, mapping, and they've come up with some models. And what we're finding here is, look, the reality is the tools that we have to explore. I've got a drill bit that's got the diameter of about a Canadian toonie, right? So we're going into this big land package. We're going into this, monster piece of ground, and we're taking a very, very small tool. And the reason we're able to, with precision, drill 16 meters of 600 grams of silver, 21 meters of 600 grams of silver, 9 meters of 1,000 grams of silver, hundreds of meters below the surface, and it all projects right to surface. The reason we're able to hit that is because of our understanding of the geology. We know what rock type to look in. We're going into the Jurassic Age, Hazelton Sweet, the same formation that hosted Eskay, Premier, Bruce Jack, Red Chris, KSM. So we know what rocks to look into. We know things through the radiometrics like high potassic alteration, sodium depletion. We know where to vector in to look for the silver, but then there's good old-fashioned structural geology, which Shad, you're highlighting here, in that every 1,400 meters, there are these cross-cutting structures along a major 15-kilometer structural corridor that we refer to as the Kitsault Valley Trend. And cross-cutting that 15-kilometer structure every 1,400 meters, like clockwork, starting with Torbrit, and then going to Wolf, and then going to Moose, and then going to Chance. And what's exciting for me is in between Chance and Homestake Silver, there's kilometers of ground where we should be able to fit in many more veins. But the great part for me, Shad, is when I started in this business 21 years ago, I was going down a mile to find gold. And why I signed up to become the CEO of Dolly Varden Silver is for a number of reasons, but one of them was the project had not been looked at below the first 300 meters. And so for me, it's not only the periodicity of new deposits along strike, it's taking this high grade, potentially amenable to bulk mining because of the thickness of these structures, getting 100 meters of 357 gram silver material in a safe jurisdiction that goes to surface that daylights. But the real sweet spot for me is as we incrementally take this project to depth, the grades are intensifying and the veins pinch and they swell. And what I'm seeing here, particularly at Wolf, is that meter vein is now going 20, 30, 40 meters at depth. And that meter vein that was a couple hundred grams of silver is now 1,000 grams of silver at depth. So what I'm seeing is I'm seeing these veins blow out and get richer as we go incrementally deeper.
Yeah, and it makes sense, Shawn, that the mineralization, as you've said so many times, it doesn't come from the sky. It's coming from deeper in the system. And it's quite possible that some of these targets may even tie together at depth, which is another thesis the team is exploring. So as you push the envelope, I think last year was really a story of stepping out from Torbrit and hitting the Kitsault vein. And you also kind of dialed in 2023, the Wolf area, and Amanda on your team really had a thesis that played out. But this year, you were stepping out from Wolf. So just on that one target at Wolf, talk about how it could actually be Torbrit 2.0.
Yeah, good point. And what's really cool about that idea is I've got a 100-meter step out pending from Wolf. And so, I'm not going to get a lot of sleep between now and New Year's Eve. And it's not going to be because I'm out there having a good time. It's because I'm waiting for these assays. And, these assays, I've got to so this Wolf deposit, there was nothing to it a couple of years ago. And what Bennett has done is she's, had us look underneath the sedimentary cap and just keep stepping out. And we've had some really ambitious step outs. I think there's a lot of investors out there that don't understand that you can have tight space step outs. So you get a vein and you stay close to it, 10 meters, 15 meters, 25 meters. We haven't done that at Dolly Varden. We've gone out 200 meters, 100 meters, and then another 100 and 100. And that's why this deposit has got a kilometer of strike length. And so I've got another 100-meter step out that's pending. And if that hits, this is the next Torbrit. And what is Torbrit? Torbrit is a 50 million ounce high grade, like the grades that they were producing were 466 grams per ton. And so this wolf, my goal is for it to be the next 50 million ounce silver deposit on the land package. But the question is, what's Moose? What's Chance? What's North Star? What's Homestake Silver? How many of these 50 million ounce high grade, right at surface silver deposits that are potentially amenable to bulk mining? If we've got five of them, well, that's 250 million ounces, right? Now, the other thing we have at Dolly, and this is the other key to the story, is we got 1 million ounces of gold at good grade. And that same team that's vectored into the high grade on the silver, well, they're sort of metal agnostic. They're just as good as finding gold as they are silver. And it's the reason we're able to drill these 30 plus meter intercepts of a third of an ounce material consistently up at Homestake. So, yes, there could be 5, 10 big silver deposits to be found with this periodicity. But Chad, how many gold deposits are there? How big is Homestake going to get? Could we get two or three Homestake style deposits on the land position? Like this is evolving into a district. When I came here, my goal, I had a quest for 100 million ounces of silver. People said, Shawn, you're crazy. This is an old mine. It's been around for 100 years. It's never gone through 40 million ounces of silver. Well, what we've done is through a silver equivalent, by bringing in the Homestake asset, we now have almost 50% more than our initial stated goal. We have just under 150 million ounces of silver, and that doesn't even account for Wolf or any of the new exciting discoveries we've made. My next question, though, is if we can tag five of these big silver deposits and two or three of these big gold deposits on a silver equivalent basis, is this a billion ounce silver district? Well, if you look at SK Creek, which is just up the street in the same rocks, same mineralizing event, they produced over 160 million ounces of silver at over 2,200 grams per ton. Plus, they produced over 3 million ounces of gold at over 49 grams per ton. But what they have today is about 5 million ounces of gold open pit over 4 grams per ton. So, what we're doing up in the north is we are reawakening these past treasures: Dolly Varden, SK Creek, Bruce Jack, Premier. And it's attracted the likes of Teck on the copper side. It's attracted the likes of Newmont, that's producing copper gold at Red Chris, and they're producing at Bruce Jack. So we've got the biggest gold miner on the planet in our district. And so, I've always was told as an investor, focus on where the majors are putting their money, because majors like Newmont, they're not here for a month, a year, or even a decade. They're looking for, they're planning out for the next century. They've got over 100 million ounces in the ground, and they're planning with groups like the Taltan and the Nishka, and they're not planning for the next election cycle. They're planning for the next 100 years. And when I look at Dolly Varden, it's a generational opportunity to build. These silver companies, they're not born today and gone tomorrow. You look at companies like Hecla Mining that have been around for 135 years. What other business do you know that you can start today and it'll be around in a century? Silver is that business. And the last thing I'm going to say, Shad, is we've been running at monster deficits, in silver. We're producing 800 million ounces a year as an industry. We're recycling another 150 million ounces. That's sub a billion ounces of new silver that is coming online on an annual basis. Well, do you know where demand is? Demand is 30% greater than that and has been for the last 5 years. And it's why the price has already doubled. It's why the price is about to double again. And so, look, I am very passionate about silver because I've been around for 21 years and I've never seen a setup like this before. And Dolly Varden's got an asset that's growing high grade silver in a safe jurisdiction. at a time where I think a squeeze is coming in 2025.
Well, Shawn, that's a great way of encapsulating. I was going to ask you about the Homestakes main and Homestake Silver gold targets, but you wove it in there. I was going to ask you what you thought about silver demand, but you wove that in there. I was going to ask you about how the whole project ties together and how it's part of a larger camp in the Golden Triangle, standing on the shoulders of giants, but in an area that the majors are interested in. And you mentioned Hecla there, who is a key strategic shareholder. And obviously, they see the value because not only do they have, I think, about a 15% stake in Dolly Varden, but they've got a member on your board of directors. I guess I just wanted to end with the highlighting the team. We talked briefly about Amanda, but as far as the geo side of thing, you've got Rob Van Eegman, you've got Michael Hendrickson, you've got a lot of good directors. Maybe just talk about the team behind Dolly Varden, how that guides you into next year, and just any other things you want investors to know as we look forward to 2025.
Well, it's about people, project, and money. And you've got Hecla, Eric Sprott, Fidelity, and others who have brought the money. And without the money, this thing doesn't launch. The people, it's the scientists, it's the people that get up every day, it's the young geos, it's the members on the board like Rob McLeod, like Michael Henriksen, that are technical in nature. It's advisors like Ryan Waymark. It is people like Andrew Hamilton, senior geologist. It is, we got a lot of bench strength and a lot of depth on the technical side. But you know what? We're in a world where if you've got a great company, but nobody knows about it, you are going to be undervalued. And I think our communications team has done a phenomenal job of building the trust and building the relationships and being relentless, going all over the globe, sharing the value proposition that is Dolly Varden. And it's why it's taken this little $20 million company that was, and it's why it traded up to a $456 million valuation on October 21st. And look, Dolly's on sale right now. It's 40% off the highs with tax loss selling and with the silver price pulling back from 35 to 30. Because what most investors don't appreciate is despite the average ASICs for a silver miner probably hovering in and around $20, there's a lot of high cost producers that can't make money at $27 silver. And so when you get silver at 30, all of a sudden the unprofitable business becomes a profitable business. But the margins from 30 to 35, that's 100% more profit. So when you get a pullback in the space, the worthless company that had no bid under it a year ago gets a bid. But when you get that pullback, it cuts both ways. So this is where the leverage kicks in the sector, and investors don't understand or appreciate it as much as they really need to understand. And it's what's made investors like Eric Sprott billions of dollars. What Eric Sprott understands is if you have a silver mine and your all-in sustaining cost is $20 and silver's 25, that move to 30 makes your project 100% more profitable. But that cuts both ways. And this pullback that we've seen from 35 to 30 has taken a lot of air, excitement, and speculation out of the space. But I ask yourself, if you look at the fundamentals, if you look at the demand for industry, which is now 50% of the silver market, it used to be 10% 100 years ago. So you've got growing demand from solar, from EVs, from weapons, from a whole host of industrial applications. At the same time, you've got record high gold prices. And what's driven silver for the last 5,000 years is investment in jewelry. So there's a big bid under the investment side of the market. My point to you is you're going to see silver prices soar in 2025. And you know what? Don't take my word today. Go back and look at videos that I put out in September of 2022, September of 2023, where I pounded my fist on the table and I made a call for silver, and we saw this price go up over 50% in both cases. And what I think we're going to see here, unless we get a depression. And if we get a depression, then all assets are going lower. But on a relative basis, I really want to hang out in gold and silver. And I particularly want to be in silver because on a relative basis, it's never been cheaper to gold. You know, you had a moment in 2020 in March where it got there for a second, but based on its industrial use, based on where the gold price is today, based on mine supply, scarcity, and how much capex is needed to unlock primary silver opportunities, it's made it my number one investment.
Well, Shawn, I think we'll wrap it up there. Very well stated on the potential for silver to keep running and the leverage that silver companies have on the upside and the downside, but the opportunity presenting investors now as some of the sentiment has cooled, but it's a great time to accumulate quality companies, quality management teams, and quality projects. I think we've checked those boxes here in this discussion today with Dolly Varden. The exposure that investors can get to both silver and gold, a true precious metals company, and a silver company that's not full of just a bunch of lead and zinc and copper in the Golden Triangle, a safe jurisdiction to Canada, and a lot of drill results and catalysts on tap for 2025 without the need to raise capital. A lot of combination of events working in Dolly Varden's favor. Of course, I am a shareholder, so I'm biased in that sense, but it's great to get you on the show, Shawn, here at the end of the year to recap 2024, to look ahead to 2025. And for investors that are interested in following along, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you over to the Dolly Varden website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates, or you can just follow the news as it's released to the market. There's a lot of news on tap for the very beginning of next year, so we'll keep following along here at the KE Report. And Shawn, have a very happy holiday season, a happy new year, and looking forward to a great 2025 in Dolly Varden Silver.
All the best, Chad. Thanks for having me on. And for all the listeners, for all the shareholders, we're grateful for your support. We're going to work very hard for you in 2025.